$600 million. When people hear that number, they picture private jets, designer suits, and red carpets, but right now, you are standing in line at a local hardware store. You are wearing worn-out sneakers, staring at a $12 extension cord, and genuinely debating if you really need to buy it. Nobody in the store looks twice at you, and that is exactly how you planned it. Before this, the world around you was loud. Your friends were constantly celebrating big job promotions, buying brand new luxury cars, and posting photos from expensive vacations. Social media always rewards the success everyone can see. Meanwhile, you still drive an old car with faded paint and wear ordinary clothes every day on. Because of that, some people quietly assume your life just did not work out the way you hoped. Even your own family starts to wonder why you are playing so small. You see the pity in their eyes, and you hear the quiet sighs during dinner. But you never say a word. You just smile, hold your tongue, and never explain why. If you find value in this perspective on wealth and freedom, please take a moment to like this video, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. It all started on a completely unremarkable Tuesday afternoon back in your mid-20s. You were standing in the break room when the old vending machine by the door ate someone's dollar bill. 10 minutes later, a man arrived carrying a heavy ring of keys. He did not work for the company, and he did not talk to anyone in the room. He just quietly walked from machine to machine, unlocking the metal doors and pulling out thick stacks of cash from 12 identical machines. In that single building, you stood there and watched him for 4 straight minutes. You did not have a sudden, magical revelation, and light bulbs did not go off in your head. Instead, you just had one simple question that would not go away. Who owns the thing? Not who works the thing. That evening, you did not go out with friends or watch television. You sat down at your computer and spent exactly 40 minutes looking into how vending routes actually operate. That is all it took. 40 minutes of quiet research to find your very first answer. And that tiny answer changed everything. You did not discover a sudden business opportunity that night. Instead, you discovered a hidden layer of the world. You started to see that underneath every single vending machine, there is a route. Underneath every route, there is a legal contract. And underneath every contract, there is a landlord who collects money but never once touches the machine itself. You took a pen and sketched this whole structure out on a paper napkin. It was not a complicated business plan with fancy words. It was just a simple diagram. When you looked at the numbers, the math was almost offensive in its simplicity. One single machine could clear $300 a month in pure profit. And the best part, it runs without you. That specific phrase, runs without you, was the exact moment everything in your mind reorganized. Your whole view of the world shifted. You realized you were not looking at metal machines filled with snacks anymore. You were looking at a powerful principle. A quiet machine that creates freedom while you sleep. You finally saved up and placed your very first machine. In that first month, it earned exactly $214. That same week, a coworker at your day job closed a major sale and pocketed a $3,000 commission check. The office group chat went wild with praise, and everyone sent rowdy emojis to celebrate the big win. You said absolutely nothing. You just sat quietly at your desk with your $214 and felt something unique. It was not quite pride, and it was not quite satisfaction. It was closer to recognition. You realized the structure actually worked. The small dollar amount did not matter yet. The fact that the structure worked perfectly was the only thing that mattered. There was no exciting movie montage, and there were no big celebrations. Over the next 2 decades, the numbers simply piled up the way weather accumulates, completely invisible from day to day. Until suddenly you wake up and the entire season has changed. Those first vending machines slowly turned into contracts for local laundromats. Those laundromat contracts eventually turned into a small stake in a concrete parking structure, and that parking structure turned into owning the valuable land underneath highway billboards. One night at midnight, you sat alone at your kitchen table doing the math. The list in front of you looked flat, dry, and completely unglamorous: 11 contracts, 4 pieces of property, 2 passive income streams, and one single LLC that nobody at a family barbecue has ever heard of. Later that week, an accountant reviewed your entire portfolio for the very first time. He looked up from the papers and said quite mildly, "You could be doing a lot more with this." To anyone else, it might have sounded like criticism. But to you, that simple sentence was the highest compliment you had ever received in your entire life. At a crowded dinner party, a man wearing a wristwatch that costs more than most people's cars casually looks you up and down. Within seconds, he places you into a neat little category: middle management. Maybe. Or small business owner. It is hard for him to tell, and quickly moves on to talk to someone he thinks is more interesting. The entire social dismissal takes about 8 seconds. You watch it happen in real time. And instead of feeling hurt, you feel an unexpected wave of relief. You realize that living an ordinary life is like wearing a suit of armor. It costs almost nothing to maintain, and it returns something that no financial investment can ever purchase: the rare ability to move through your own life without being noticed as something worth taking. You decide to leave the party early. On the quiet drive home, you pass an empty dirt lot on a street corner that has been sitting undeveloped for 3 years. Your sibling calls. The amount they desperately need is $47,000. To you, this is not a major financial crisis. It is just a single afternoon's worth of passive income. But you sit with the request for 3 full days. You do not wait because you refuse to help. You wait because you know exactly what a quick check does to a person's life story, and you know what this particular story actually needs. Instead of writing the check, you offer your Saturdays. You sit together at the kitchen table for hours. You build a simple financial spreadsheet together from scratch. 18 months later, your sibling closes on a small rental property of their own, using money they earned themselves and truly understood. You never mention the check you could have easily written that first day. You carry that particular weight quietly, and some nights, it feels a lot heavier than others. The entire portfolio finally crosses $600 million on a warm Wednesday afternoon. You find out from a quick glance at your phone, right while standing in the plumbing aisle of a local hardware store, trying to remember if you need half-inch or 3/4-inch copper pipe. Deep down, you always expected something big to happen at this moment. A sudden shift in gravity. A distinct feeling that the very air around you had changed. What arrives instead is just the loud beep of a forklift working somewhere in the next aisle and the faint, familiar smell of fresh sawdust. You quietly slide the phone back into your pocket. You reach out and grab the half-inch pipe. You are not numb to the news. And you are not dancing with joy. You are simply feeling something much more accurate and far harder to name, something that feels, strangely, like arriving at a place where you have always lived. There was a person. There is always a person. Someone who asked the right questions and stayed around long enough to feel the true shape of the silence, and eventually decided that shape was just too large to live beside. You chose the silence. You would choose it again. That is the honest answer. And it costs something to say it out loud. The armor works in every direction. Nobody sees through it, not your enemies, not the government, and not the people you love most. And late on a Wednesday evening in the plumbing aisle of a hardware store, when $600 million sits quietly in a portfolio nobody knows about, the question that stays with you isn't about money at all. If nobody ever knew, would it be enough? If this story made you think about what true success really looks like, please hit the like button, leave a comment down below with your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this one.